All right, so on your handout, you're going to choose any primary color. It could be red, yellow, or blue. And then you will choose the complement of it. So if you chose to put red here, you're going to do the green. If you chose to do blue here, you would do orange. And if you chose to do yellow here, you would do violet, okay? So then you mix those, the complementary colors, the primary and the secondary, and you mix it until it neutralizes it. And in this case, it is kind of a blue-brown or a dark brown. And I fill in this circle right here with that. And it almost looks like a purple brown, if you will. But if I add a little bit more red to this, it will neutralize it even more and make it more of a brown color. And then I'm going to paint that right here, and you'll notice that it is no longer the purple brown, but it is more red brown. Okay? So it's you got to think of, it's kind of like ratios, guys. If you were thinking like measurements for a recipe, it would be like 1 teaspoon of green and 2 teaspoons of red to make brown. Okay? So it's ratios of that. 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 2 to 2. It could be half and half and see what happens. But it's kind of not as much of one as the other to really make changes. Okay? All right, so that is that. And then you're going to do more on the back of that. Then this last sheet, it says that you are going to make your colors lighter without using black or white. And what you're going to do with that, let's choose this one right here. It says, in the square on the left, make it blue as dark as you can. So that's just solid blue, right? There's no darker blue than the blue is just pure. So you're going to do that right here, solid blue, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to make it lighter, and instead of adding a color to it, you are going to put it in the water and rinse it just a little bit. And now it's going to be a little bit lighter because you have water added. So this is a lighter blue. Then I put it in this bowl and I rinse it out again. And this is a little bit lighter yet. And then I put it in the bowl, rinse it out a little bit more, and do it again, and it's lighter yet. And then if I really rinse it out to a point where I don't rub it on the towels, but I rinse it out quite a bit, you can still see a little bit of blue in that water, but it went from dark blue to light blue by diluting it with water, which is like a watercolor effect, okay? This is how you do a wash. If you want to do a wash over something that you've painted, for instance here, this is a wash. They painted the background first, which was the gray. Actually, they painted white first, which was the moon. Then they painted the gray, and they left the white of the moon empty where they didn't paint it. Then they painted the tree, and that's kind of a bluish gray color. Then they did a really diluted red, adding a lot of water to it, and they painted it over the top of the tree to do a wash, which makes it kind of feel like there's some kind of light coming over it, maybe a headlight or a tail light or something like that, where it's changing because we have another new layer, okay? So that is the handouts and what you need to do. One thing that I want you to see with these examples that I have here is that when you layer, you get some really cool things happening. So with this one, they did kind of yellow and then kind of a yellow-green on the bottom. Then they did the red dots, then they did the green dots, and it is this really cool pattern, and it's a lot more interesting to look at than this, which is just a solid color, and it's done. So if you really want to make your masks cool and interesting beyond what you've done sculpturally, don't just paint them solid colors and call it done. Layers. Layers are really important, and you can experiment on paper or even on tiles. And I have some of these tiles laying around that you can use and experiment on them if you want, okay? So layers are really important. Patterns are super cool. So they did this kind of purple background, and then they came back over the top and did like these leopard stripes or like zebra stripes on here. And then this is kind of more like a leopard or some kind of tiger or something like that. But patterns are really cool. They add a really cool effect to your mask. So if you didn't do a lot of patterns sculpturally, you should do a lot of patterns or textures in paint. Last but not least, Van Gogh Starry Night. It's not just one color. It's like kind of a turquoise blue in the background. And then there's lots of strokes in that background. Then they came over the top with yellows and whites and lighter blues. It's layers and layers and layers that makes this awesome. It's not just a single coat, okay? So layers are really important. All right, I believe that I've covered most of the bases. You can stop that.